What's up, my golden brothers and sisters? And in this video I'm going to be talking about which controller you could be using in Tekken 8, and I'm going to list the pros and cons of each and every controller just so I can give you a gist of what you may like, what you may not like, what may work for you the best, or what may not work for you. So let's get into it. Okay, first controller on this list, your standard go-to console PS5 or Xbox controller. Well, right now I don't have an Xbox, so I'm just using the PS5 controller. But they both pretty much have the similar feel, you know, slightly different layout, but similar feel. This controller right here, for anyone, is the go-to for anyone because you start off with this anyways. This controller is best for beginners starting out, has a natural feel and simplistic layout. So here are the pros and cons of the standard controller. Pros: most familiar layout for most players, easy to pick up and play, great for movement in Tekken if you prefer D-pad for Mishimas, wave dashes, or Korean backdash, light and portable, easiest to carry to local, analog flexibility for games that benefit from variable inputs, 3D movement, and certain specials. Works on many platforms: PS5, PC, and mobile. Cons: inconsistent inputs compared to lever or hitbox. Misinputs happen more often. Harder for execution for like electrics. Perfect electric when God Fist, instant while rising moves. Thumb fatigue on long sessions. And last, trigger delays if you're not using digital replacements. Alright, second controller on this list is the Fightbox/Hitbox. Well, everybody knows this as a Hitbox. So yeah, this controller is by far my favorite controller to use, hands down, when playing Tekken 8 or any 3D fighter, really. Its inputs are very clean and precise. Less hand fatigue, fast reaction on buttons, but it has a huge learning curve to it. If you've never played any controllers or if you never played on a keyboard, this right here is going to feel daunting to anybody that played on standard controllers or arcade stick maybe. So putting that out there, you have to have a decent amount of finger dexterity to get good with this controller. So here are the pros and cons of this type of controller. Pros: fastest and most precise inputs, hands down. Easiest for consistent electrics, Korean backdash, crouch dash cancel, wave dash, Korean backdash. Well, I said that already, but etc. Symmetrical layout reduces wrist strain compared to pad. The input speed ceiling is the highest of all controllers. Perfect for lab monsters and players who love consistency, like me. Cons: steep learning curve if you've never used all buttons before. Can feel unnatural for directional movement at first. Controversy in tournaments: SOCD rules vary. Must know the rule set. Harder to express movement feel. Some players say it feels like typing instead of moving. Well, I mean, yeah, but and not ideal for quarter circle heavy games unless you're used to doing quarter circle movements. Third controller on this list is the traditional arcade fighting stick. Right? This controller is for someone that prefers the old ways of playing fighting games. It has precise directional inputs and a nice satisfying feel when you get used to it. But it has a bigger learning curve, and complex motions can feel harder at first compared to all the other controllers that are on this list. Plus, it's bulky and it is pretty expensive. So there are cheap options out there, especially the Quambadrone. I believe the Quambadrone is a cheaper option that you could go for. But this right here is the older version of the Quambadrone. You're only able to use this on the PS4 or PS3. You can't use this on the PS5, but you can use this on a PC. So you know what I'm saying, that works. But here's the pros and cons of this controller. Pros: classic arcade feel, extremely fun to use, great for gamers that like smooth motion inputs, clear tactile feedback from the joystick, allows excellent movement flow, especially diagonal control. Many top Street Fighter and or Guilty Gear players still prefer sticks. Cons: harder execution in Tekken for Korean backdash, instant electrics, wave dash cancels. Noisier clicks and clacks, you know what I'm saying. Bulky and not easy to travel with. Requires maintenance, springs, gates, switches eventually wear out. And last, slower compared to Hitbox for pure speed inputs. Fourth controller on this list is the Hori Fighting Commander. Of course, this controller is lightweight and it is the easiest, most comfortable controller, you know, transitioning from the standard DualShock or Xbox controller, or well, if anybody's used to PlayStation already in general, but still gonna feel slightly the same if you're coming off an Xbox, just a little different. Though of course with this controller, there's no analog sticks, none. So if you're someone that's used to using an analog stick in a fighting game, it's going to feel daunting a little bit, transitioning from a standard controller to something that's only meant for fighting games with no analog stick. So just putting that out there. Pros: best D-pad on the market, super clean for 2D fighters, great for Tekken movement, dashes, wave dashes, crouch dashes feel smoother, turbo buttons if you ever use them casually, lightweight, responsive, and designed for fighters, more durable than DualSense. Cons: no analog sticks, so worse for games requiring analog movement. Some layouts feel cramped compared to a DualSense, not as fast or consistent as a Hitbox. And last, harder for players used to analog movement. Fifth and final controller on this list, not really a controller, but you know what I'm saying, considered a controller when using it in any game, is keyboard. Right now I don't have a standard keyboard. I have a 60% keyboard, but this still applies, of course. So the keyboard is like a taboo secret weapon in fighting games. It has more technical advantages and is debatably a stronger controller option compared to the Hitbox. Has extremely precise inputs, fast reaction on buttons, easy access to multiple buttons, and less hand fatigue by far. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, debatably stronger than the Hitbox because of all the other button options that you have at your disposal. You know what I'm saying? So if anybody does not mind using this, go ahead and pick it up. You have one already. It's cheap. No need to get this though. You only need the 60% keyboard, but if you want to, knock yourself out. So here are the pros and cons of this type of controller. Pros: basically a Hitbox but with bigger keys or smaller keys depending on the keyboard that you already have. Extremely fast input speed, great for Korean backdash, electrics, and precise directional control, and best of all, is cheap. Cons: not tournament legal for most events unless using keyboard supported PC setups. Key travel can be slower depending on switches. Bulkier than a dedicated Hitbox device. Well, like I said, depending on the keyboard that you already have. And last, some keys can register accidental multiple inputs depending on rollover. Alright, so to wrap up the video, well, I made this just to help out any players that are confused as to which controller that they would want to use based off of the list that I've made of the controllers that I own, that I've used over the years. So, you know what I'm saying? Just to push you further into getting into the game, you know what I'm saying? So And yes, getting into Tekken. Yeah. Alright, my golden brothers and sisters. I'm signing out. Deuces.